I am an authentic. I'm authentic. You can't get any more BIPOC than Cheryl Miller. Okay, and I'm gonna show you how this is, but I am a poster child. Okay, and my brother and I always say, we really hope our parents loved each other, because can we mute? Yeah, someone needs to mute. Yeah, thank you. Because this, I've lived through everything. I have lived through being a colored child, a Negro child, Afro-American, African-American, Black American. This term fits Cheryl Miller. So I thank God for our sociologist, Sophia Magnelia Hunt, BIPOC, completely describes my family. Okay, and you look at me really good. So imagine me back in the day with all these other nomenclatures upon me. You guys have solved a problem. Listen, I've grown into shoes with you, and fortunately or unfortunately, I've been at this longer. So, okay. I am BIPOC. This is my maternal family, which is very unique. I mean, extremely unique. My grandmother, who is in the middle frame to the right, that's my grandmother, and to the left is my grandmother. But it's my mother. So you're right there, the middle right. Okay. You have my immediate mother and grandmother. We are Danish West Indian. Okay, so you guys know Carnival Cruise, U.S. Virgin Islands, but my grandmother and her lineage are indigenous Danish West Indian and Ghanaian. Okay. And there's a lot of history with that. So my grandmother, my great-great-grandmother is top right, and she's Ghanaian descent from St. John's. She mixed, and that's why my grandmother is fair. And 1917, World War I, the United States purchased the Danish West Indies, and the Executive Navy came in to establish democracy. And my grandfather, who was Filipino, was a part of the stewards, cooks, barbers, chauffeurs for the Executive Navy yachts. So he was a part of the U.S. Filipino Navy. My grandmother met him at the USO. He married her and gave her 3 Filipino babies, and my mother is his baby. He abandoned us. It's a crazy story, and we'll talk about it. But mom came to the United States to go to Howard University. So mom is Filipino Creole, and we're all from what we now know is Carnival Cruise, U.S. Virgin Islands. But when I go back, and I've done extensive family ancestry and work, my lineage, when I look to my Ghanaian descent great-grandmother from St. John's, all of the Danish archives and records and passports and everything all the way back give me this incredible lineage. And that's my Afro-Caribbean St. Tomian cousin down at the bottom, cousin Larry. Larry took a sojourn back to Ghana and reconnected. They installed him. He is a chief of our tribe. We know our tribe. We are artisans. And one of the things that is curious now that sometimes we see in Googles is it's our tribe that we're shipbuilders, we're wood carvers, but we are the ones who make the decorative coffins. Okay, so that's very interesting. And so what you're seeing is his family record of the chiefs going all the way back to that seal. That seal represents the chief, one of the first chiefs that were stolen by Denmark in 1770 and started the insurrection at St. John. So it's what's crazy is this is my maternal BIPOC. Okay, plus I have their DNA. So, you know, a life journey of getting this story together and in my own, it actually nets down into a very interesting historical family, cultural background. It helps me with my health now, you know, to know what I have everybody's death certificates and archive records and so forth and so on. So it helps me in prevention. But it is a very unique story. And so maternally, this is how I am BIPOC, and I am all of these people. maternal lineage, Danish West Indian and Ghanaian descent, mixed with colonizers and any and every other thing that can that can happen on a Carnival cruise. Okay, so that's mom's side. Okay, we can go to the next slide. So when we put all that together in my life, right underneath mom's picture is my father's people. Okay, and mom is in this kind of the second column there, and my father is, at this point we call ourselves mixed MGMs, multi-generational mixed, and he is my paternal grandfather. You'll see him, he looks like a white man. He is white and American Indian, and that's his that's his great grandmother. Okay, to her. All right, and so I don't know, they just all met each other, and this is my paternal family. Okay, and what's interesting about that DNA work is that that's all documented, and we have patriot, daughters of American Revolution kind of DNA. So I will, and if you're interested, you know, you can read my memoir on how I found all of these. I call them all, they were mixed and mixed nuts. so they met in college, and I grew up during the civil rights era, before, during, and after. And what we're looking at is just a little collage of influences, technology, like our kids are on iPad. You know, I was in front of the new thing called television from radio. Some shows were on radio, some shows were in black and white, and definitely brand new by 1962, everybody had a color TV, but all shows weren't in color. They would only come on like about 6 o'clock, NBC News, color TV. It ran black and white till the evening and then turned to color. And so, yeah, I had those influences. Mickey Mouse was brand new, animation. You all had Bob Ross, and we had John Nagy. Okay, down on the left, he got on and did television 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, charcoal drawings and things. So Bob Ross isn't new. There's John Nagy started it. I won my first I won my first award as a Girl Scout, and ended up on the section covers of the Washington Star and Washington Post. I'm from Washington, D.C. So, you know, my dad's from D.C. They met at Howard, and, you know, they just nested in there. And I grew up in Washington, D.C. So I'm a D.C. girl. In that, there was some very interesting influences, because Washington is an arts town, it's a gallery town, it's a museum town. My mom, I'm what they call a Howard brat. I grew up on campus. My mom was a legacy nurse on campus, and my dad was one of the alumni gala award celebrants. So, you know, I was there all the time, the football games, homecoming, the Howard Theater, all of the celebrities used to come, and they would come to campus to entertain the students. And one of the things that I grew up with is all of my friends would either take dance lessons at the school, at fine arts, or they took music lessons. That was popular. But what I did was I hung out in the museum, and I hung out in the museum during an era of contemporary art and the cadre of Washington Colorfield School, which was kind of a spinoff from the New York Colorfield School. And so you've got, and we know those players, Alma Thomas, Sam Gilliam, were the people of color who are related to that segment of contemporary art in Washington. But there were 5 or 6 others, white men, and they put Alma and Gilliam in the cadre. You can Google that, Washington Colorfield School, and you'll see these were my influences in terms of art all through the city. And I grew up sitting in the museum school at Howard University, just watching, now it's called the Afro-Cobra movement. So all that painting that was going on in Washington and Chicago. And growing up in that's why I didn't opt to go to Howard. I wanted to see something else, because I literally, I am what they call a Howard brat. My parents were just alumni. My mom worked there. And so I was just in the museum all the time, sitting and wandering and looking and sitting and eavesdropping. And I grew up in the museum school. So I wanted to see something else. I decided I wanted to be an artist early, and these were my early influences. And so I think what's interesting is you can Google Washington Colorfield School and Alma Thomas and Sam Gilliam and Jeff Donaldson, who's a part of the Afro-Cobra movement that's now being celebrated, Soul of a Nation. And I thank God for those curators and those scholars out of Howard who've put that work in perspective for the art market. Okay, but when I was a kid, this is where I would fall asleep waiting for mom to go home. You know, I'd be in the museum. So, and just kind of poking my head around. And so I grew up literally on the campus and in fine arts. So that you can kind of contextualize this, which is really, really important when you hear my story. We're looking at the civil rights movement, and there's some important things that I am growing up through, okay? The Voting Act, 1965, I am 13 years old, you know, the miscegenation law, all of this mixing and matching was against the law, and especially down south. 1967, 1968, Martin Luther King is assassinated, and, you know, you'll hear me on other interviews. I started college touring the day that Martin Luther King was assassinated and Washington, D.C. was burning. So this kind of protest era, I've been around this. This is the second time I've been around this. It's almost, I can only tell you, I can almost predict what's going to happen next, because history in life is cyclical. This happened, what we're experiencing right now, except for the pandemic, happened 50 years ago. So we'll talk about that some more. But if you kind of lock and load me and put me right there in this culture and in this community and being BIPOC, walk a mile in my shoes. And Papa said to me, you got a plan. You're getting ready to graduate from high school. What you gonna do? Okay, so we can go to the next slide. The same time in 1968, while I am trying to figure out, answer Papa's question, and I'm college touring, I applied to 3 schools. I applied to Boston University, Boston Museum School. I applied to Pratt, and I applied to Rhode Island School of Design. All right. And I am graduating high school. I'm in my last moments. I'm applying. I am a racial ambiguous African-American Black child. Okay. With everything closed, locked down. No one can go anywhere if you're of any kind of color except white. Okay. So put me in here contextually and imagine walking with this kind of, you know, ambiguity. There's no other choice than to identify as a Black child from an urban DC. And so what we're looking at is dropping me in this timeline. While this is going on, 1968 is a place of awareness begins for where the Black designers. So I want to give all honor to everyone who has gone before me with this. And the Black experience in graphic design is first recorded, in other words, the issue and the discussion and the fact that there, you know, it begins this discussion in 1968. So imagine this is going on in New York, and I'm trying to get into school, and I'm putting my foot on the platform of this drama, okay? And Dorothy E. Hayes is the first African-American female Black graphic designer, art director. She and her friends, I would say they're a second generation of Blacks in New York, the first being right during the era, the 50s, 60s, where television and Blacks are coming in from all around the country, Chicago, Washington. They're coming in to do media with this brand new thing called CBS. And so she's here on the platform enough. She and her friends have gone through maybe first generation of going to school and the history of Art Institute into Art Academy into the Academy and academic requirements to be trained. And these guys, this cadre, they're about 10, 15 years in front of me, and they start this movement. 1968, print published 5 Black graphic designers, and they discussed, Dorothy Hayes says, I don't think that I've ever experienced so much discouragement, suppression of Black artists, and art directors treat the Black student as though we were some out and out freak and tremendous threat to the instructor when all the student is trying to do is to develop talent. I hear that every day. We're here every day, but it started there. And I'm trying to go to school to get into this. I'm like, oh my God, if I had read that, I'm not sure what I would have done. Let's go to the next one. These things you can find online. So Dorothy is printed, she comes forward, 1968. I was employed, and she tells you right here that she felt she was a token. They hired her, they didn't let her do anything. But she really wanted everybody to know she's the first one that started broadcasting. We exist, we're trained, and you're gonna give us a seat at this table. Next. She's featured now, we're in 1969, and now mind you, kind of backstory, I'm now waiting for my college applications. Okay, and I've canvassed this, I'm applying, I've done my testing, I got my portfolio, I'm now interviewing, and print starts to, they acknowledge her, and they give her an opportunity to participate in this magazine, this portfolio statement of a single theme. Interpret as you see it, only one restriction, the art had to be in black and white. And so that was the theme. The theme was black and white, 40 statements with a single theme, no color, just black and white. Color is the state of mind. You can find this, everything that you're doing here, you're seeing is you can find, or you can write me, and we'll talk about writing me later. Okay, so 1969, she gets published again. Okay, we can go. Okay, 1969, I'm like, okay, I need my letters of recommendation. I got my portfolio together. I have 2 art teachers, 1 Black, and Miss Glassman. Good old Miss Glassman. Miss Snowden was Black, and we each had a student, okay? Miss Snowden had the Black student, and Miss Glassman had the white student. Well, 1969 at Calvin Coolidge High, Washington, D.C., my father had to pick up the phone and do some political principle, get my daughter's transcript to RISD. I'm not playing with you people. Miss Glassman looks at me and says, you'll never be an artist. And Coolidge wouldn't send my transcript to RISD or any place else. This is why I'm like, really? I mean, if I had found, I don't know if I had read Dorothy's article, if I would have stepped on the path of this, but I've always wanted to be an artist since I was 3 years old. Okay, but this is where I stepped on the path of this. Good old Miss Glassman looks right at me and says, you'll never be an artist. I'm like, oh, it's like that. And there were 2 kids out of DC public school, me and Stephanie. And so I was with Miss Snowden. I was the Black kid with Miss Snowden, and Stephanie was the white kid with Miss Glassman. And what was interesting is Stephanie and I wanted each other's reverse admissions. She wanted to go to Rhode Island, and I wanted to go to Pratt. And God has a way. I got degrees, I got experience, and went to both of them. How about that? So, but back then, Glassman was trying to keep me out of RISD because she knew that one school out of DC public schools, 2 kids weren't going to go to the same school. That's not the way that was going to work. So she was, she had a plan to get rid of me. Okay, so her choice pick could go to RISD. Well, the admissions came the other way. Okay, Stephanie went to admissions and I went to RISD. And Miss Glassman had the nerve enough to say to me, I'm 17 years old. You'll never make it as an artist. Don't even try this. Thank you, Miss Glassman. Karma. I'm like, you know what? Don't even. Mitzi, I always say, I'm not the sister. Guess what? I am the sister. I'm like, Miss Glassman, I don't think so. And here we are. I live to tell the story and then some. Mitzi, next slide. Okay, now this is going on and I don't even know this is going on. So, kind of wind me back. Dorothy's in New York, right? She's down there pounding. I got friends, there are 50 of us. Okay, I'm fighting Miss Glassman to get into this drama. And RISD is in takedown. So the place I'm going, I didn't even know. They're in takedown. The students are taking down RISD, just like they were doing now. They're screaming decolonizing. This is not new. Look at this letter. This is March. This is the March newsletter, 1970. I had no idea that this was going on, and I'm applying to school. You can find this is all online. Okay, and so what there is a list of demands for everything that the kids, you guys scholars are doing now. Those demands have been going on since 1970. And RISD, the RISD Black Student Union, they were demanding respect. So, and I didn't know any of this. I didn't know Dorothy was in New York. I didn't know RISD was in takedown. And I'm trying to go here. I didn't do my research. But probably if I'd done my research, I would have still, I wanted to be an artist, and the doors opened up for me to go. And they opened up all of the Ivy League schools and all these schools we couldn't go to after Martin Luther King got assassinated. It was a season of reparation. And I went on in because I wanted to be an artist. That's it. That's it in a nutshell. And I put my foot on the path of this drama. I had no idea. The RISD students were in a takeover. And their solution was 40 kids from the city. They're gonna bring, we landed 1970. We landed 1970. Next slide. So that letter is March 1970. Dorothy is down in New York. She's promoting Black designers. So these guys are in front of me. And now when you all look to go do your blogs and stuff, you can't find anything except these fractals. So here, let me tell you what these fractals are. And then the one on the right, if you find that JPEG, it's in Japanese. It's in Japanese, okay? Who can read this? But if you start Googling and looking, this is what you'll find, okay? You'll find these two fractals. So let me tell you what these two ephemeral fractals are. So Dorothy's down in New York. She bonds with Herb Lubalin, who you all have studied, the great, one of the worshipers. Okay, I give it to him. Lubalin, Tony Despina, Tom Carnesi, they're all great typographers, but you don't learn anybody else. Okay, so Lubalin and Dorothy is working in his studio a little bit, and they have a relationship, and he bonds and helps her put this show together. So one thing that happens in the response to the March takedown is this show comes to RISD April. So the community is beginning, the school is beginning to respond to this takedown demand list. Okay, and I'm like, okay, so Dorothy comes on campus and brings this 49 Black designers, curated Black artists in graphic communication. And when you guys go to Google to do your reports and blogs and stuff, this is all you find. You don't find any backstory about any of this. And like, oh my God, and we're so hungry. You look at all of these 49 people in this book, and it's all in Japanese. And you're like, oh my God, who are we? And who are they? And I belong to them? And I'm like, God, I understand. But at this point, this is April. So the letter is March 1970. The show goes in April, and I'm getting my letter of acceptance, and I show up September as their part of their solution. Me and 49 other kids, mostly from New York, me and my girlfriend from Long Island. We're solving the problem of the takedown. We are the minority recruitment program people that show up on campus. I'm sorry, Rachel. I'm living this because you should not have to go through not one moment of what I've experienced. That's the only reason why I'm doing this. You should not go through this. This is not what you want to do, my friends. Nope. So let's go to the next slide. This piece of ephemeral is around, and you can see the notation. You see more of this book where she's doing this promotion. And we're going to see here that it started in a place called the Composing Room, and the address is down. This is down. Tanika King, my pleasure. I see her chatting. Please be happy. Okay, so so George Olden is who we regard as our old baby boomers. George Olden, he was fair skinned from DC, shaved his head close. Okay, this is what BIPOCs do back then. Okay, so you could get where you were going. I can't say I just know that he was known for being fair like me and cutting his hair back short, and he got recruited up. I got a couple of my father's age friends. You know, my father lived, they're like 97, 98. This is a dispensation where media guys were coming in to do CBS. That's it. It's this brand new, almost like everybody's showing up to work for Apple. So George Olden, we call him the very first Black art director because he steps right on the path of CBS and television. And he is the art director, and the lead art director is one called William Golden. But George Olden is the first Black art director, and so for CBS. Herb Lubalin, Herb Lubalin, Tom Carnese, Tony Despina, these are all of your typography, white Debos that you all study and celebrate for letter forms, okay? It was a big movement, hand lettering, branding, all of this before Adobe. There were just design firms that just hand lettered logos, okay? There was no Adobe Illustrator, no Photoshop, no skew, no twist, no cut, no, it's all done by hand, okay? And so Lubalin, according to this ephemeral, he's bonding with Hayes, and they create this show, and he has helped to sponsor it, George and Lubalin. It starts, this is this 1970 move, and I'm waiting for my application admissions notice that I've gotten accepted into this thing. So the show starts in the composing room, and then in response to the takedown, oh, we got to bring some people of color up in here. Jesus. They bring the show to RISD. Up in here. Everybody's looking, where are the Black designers? And Dorothy's saying, over here, party over here, we're over here. And then everybody's looking the other way. And she's going like, I'm telling you guys, this is that new. And now as I'm lecturing on this, I'm like, Cheryl, if you'd done a little homework, but there was no Google, there was no one to tell you that this was going on, I still would have done it. Let's go. Or I wouldn't be here. What would I be doing in my old age? I'm having fun with you guys. Let's go. Okay. So here comes Miller, okay? Miller time. I've already had 10 years. Amber, I'm loving it for you. Y'all can chat me, it's okay. Because you wouldn't believe this stuff. So anyway, I have 10 years. I have 10 years under my belt, and I'm a corporate wife. My husband finishes grad school, and he says, we're moving to New York. I'm like, okay, let's go. I'm an art director. I'm the main art director at Howard University Television. I have, before I come to New York, I have this incredible broadcast design career. I'm on the startup crew of the television station at Howard. There was 7 of us or so. We started the PBS station. Howard had a vision for the radio and television. They wanted to, and so I was the art director that was called to put everything in place. So I did Channel 32, the initial sets. But by that time I had worked for WTOP and WRC. And so you can locate me again. Please locate me. Oprah was in Baltimore, and Gayle King was in news production. She was a production assistant running copy around up on the 2nd and 4th floor. And I was in the art department down in the basement. Okay, they're rich and famous. I guess I'm famous, but God knows I'm not rich. We were all there together. We were all there together. Oh, and my BET story, this is where I met Bob Johnson. He comes down to my office and he says, where's the Black designer? And he's looking around and I'm looking like a white woman. Okay, I'm over here. I'm over here. What can I do for you? And that's the story of me servicing BET. So I leave all of that to come to New York. That go right. And when I get to New York, I said, well, I don't know how long I'm going to be in New York. And that's a whole nother story. That's a whole nother lecture, how I broke into New York, how I got into business. Let's not go there. I go to Pratt and I say to Pratt, I have 10 years of experience. Will you review my portfolio? They gave me half of the graduate degree and told me, go earn the other half. Pay the tuition, earn the other half. We'll take your professional experience. By this time, I've had a knack for winning awards. I showed you the first one. I was 10 years old. I knocked off a Picasso. I won an award. I'm on the front of the Washington Post. There's another lecture, how to win awards. Okay, really, there's a strategy. So I take all of that and they give me half of the degree, tell me earn the other half, pay the tuition. Well, I do and finish this program in a year and a half. And when I get to the end, I don't know whether they talked about me. I don't know about anybody else. I don't know what they were doing. I can only tell you what the chair of the department and my senior design people told me. I don't know what they said to anybody else. I did not hear any other conversation. All I heard was, if you want to get out of this program, you cannot do a design thesis. And I'm like, okay, what are we going to do? I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm a designer and I can't do a design thesis. Go work with that. Go see where that takes you. So I said, well, what do you want me to do? Anytime Manassi, I hope he's smiling in heaven now. Okay. I'm in his loft off of Broadway, Lincoln Center, and he looks at me and he tells me, no design project for you to get out of here. That's too easy. I'm like, what are we gonna do? Make a contribution to the industry. I said, do what? He said, make a contribution to the industry. Well, we're here now, so I guess I did do that. And I wrote this thesis, which, there's another lecture and another Zoom on how I did this thesis. It starts with, I got my academic coach. Listen, guys, I never had a design coach, ever. Not one design mentor came through my life, not one. But along the way, it's crazy, I got academic and writing coaches. Okay, what did I do? I went to design school and I ended up a writer. Okay, so anyway, the acclaimed Dr. Leslie King Hammond, I met day one, Micah. That's another story, another lecture, but she's been my academic coach now 50 years. And I called her and I said, listen, these people are not letting me out of this school with a design project. I got to write something. And she was my coach, my primary reader, and has been my academic coach for 50 years. Anything written, anything professorial, any scholarship, Dr. King is my academic scholarship coach, okay? Don't ever think you're that wonderful that you can't have people speak into your life. You need 2 and 3 witnesses to look at your stuff and tell you that you are not wonderful. Okay, so with that, we came up with Transcending the Problems of the Black Graphic Designer to Success in the Marketplace by Cheryl D. Miller. 1985, this thing was done. And this is the thesis that keeps giving over and over and over again. So we can go to the next slide. I believed in this work because now I'm pressed and Etan is saying, you got to make a contribution. Well, just having it on my shelf doesn't make a contribution. And I marched the thesis over to Martin Fox at Print Magazine, and you'll hear me in other interviews. I put a yellow sticky note, slipped it in a manila envelope and said, Mr. Fox, my name is Cheryl Miller. I'd like to make my thesis a feature magazine article. You can go to YouTube. There's a whole discussion that I gave an interview with Poster House. I explain how, not what, how I did it, because you guys have to start writing. And there's a reason why the thesis into the article has been eternal. Okay, so the interview over there tells you how I did it. Take notes. It's not about the topic. It's not about the content. It's about how this happened. Okay, because you guys, I'm passing the torch. You guys have to write and keep things going and keep a voice moving. And there's a history, all right? And you've got to keep, the difference between my work and Hayes's work is she's what we call in down south priming the well. You just push, 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 and then no water, but it's pulling the water up, and then somebody comes and taps, the water comes out. It's like, I'm not a gambling woman, but if you're at Carnival Cruise or Atlantic City or wherever you guys go, Las Vegas, you're putting in your quarters, nothing comes out. Somebody walks away and comes and puts a quarter in, and all the quarters come out. Okay, that's why I got to give honor and respect to Dorothy and that crew in front of me. They started asking, where are the Black designers, and started telling everybody they're over here. Okay, but they didn't want to listen. So I come along, and the difference between her work and my work is I have a piece of scholarship. That's why I'm into the footnotes. Everything with me is Googleable. Okay, and so the reason that this has lasted the time is the scholarship. I keep contending the scholars, it's the scholarship. And that thesis of mine, I discovered that it has been referenced, footnoted, cross disciplines, and it's a piece of scholarship, and that keeps giving. And so this got published, and please go over and see that Poster House interview, because I tell you how they taught me, the editors taught me how to trade right, and it was quite an experience. So let's go. I don't want to stay here because I'm showing you the history. This thing is building. Now we're 1987. Then AIGA gets a wind of it, because print is a trade article to everybody. And this is where on their websites, they acknowledge the first diversity and inclusion group. And every one of these things starts with Cheryl Miller. Cheryl Miller didn't know. Cheryl Miller Design New York. Black designers missing in action. Every one of them starts with, there are two of these documents. They both start with Cheryl Miller. And then my peers, my friends, we all gathered together, and your first crew of diversity and inclusion, okay, for AIGA, they're listed right here. If you want to know who your elders are with this, they're in these two primary documents. It's Fo Wilson, Michelle Washington, Roger Tucker III, John Morning, myself. Then there was Elsie Cross, who was in charge of, she was a HR type person. There's some allies there. Your listing of who started this after the article. So the article burst into the industry, and the industry responded, and the first group that responded was AIGA, and the first of us was John Morning, Fo Wilson, Michelle Washington, Roger Tucker III, and those are the ones that I recall that are really right on the front of these newsletters. Those are your baby boomer, out of my generation, New York City, Black designers who are asking and telling, where are the Black designers? So the article moves into a formation and industry recognition. And this starts it right here. Equal opportunities, minorities in graphic design, AIGA industry starts dealing with it. And we are your elders knocking on the door saying, you all got to deal with us. Yeah, 1990, next. Now it's starting to get good. Okay, all those 3%, 1%, whatever it is, the census and all of that. Why is graphic design? Here comes the why part. Why, what, where, why? Graphic design, 93% white. Removing barriers to increase. We've been at this rodeo. Okay, and there are the pictures of us. And it starts out the same way. Cheryl Miller didn't know. Print magazine. And everybody who's there, a part of this team, is there. There's Mr. Morning. Mr. Morning. You need to know Mr. Morning. John Morning Design. Fo Wilson, Michelle Washington, Roger Tucker III, and myself, and everybody else who was gathering for forums and conferences, and we're trying to get this together. Ms. Hayes is still there, her cadre. We're growing now because really access to education has opened since civil rights. And there are more of us now building to demand really equity. It's equal. There's a difference between equality and equity. So we are demanding equality and equity. And this is your, where are the Black graphic designers? It's starting to pick up here now. Okay, 1993, and that percentage census stuff starts happening. Okay, next slide. 1987, you know, this is it here. And this article and my studio, we're all over New York City. And I'm all over keynoting. It's just rolling. The same thing I'm doing now, I did it when I was 30 some odd years old. I was 35 years old. Me and my friends in New York. Where are the Black designers? I'm like, we're here. And you're disrespecting us by ignoring us. And we're gonna make you accountable. Next slide. And what becomes prominent is I become a trade writer. Article after article, citation after citation, award after award, the studio, the exposure, and my advocacy. I've been fighting and writing for this since I was 35 years old, and got on the path of this when I was 17. And I couldn't Google it to find out that this was a treacherous road. Keep going. 2015. So from there to 2015, you know, I've gotten older and I have run out of baby time. I picked up a degree from Union Theological, and I said to myself, move to Connecticut like all good designers retire and do out of New York City and raise your family. My kids are like y'all's age. And somebody had me do a TED talk for women, Black women in design. Okay, Black women in design. Let you hear my TED talk on that one. Okay. I took off to raise my family and said, I've done more in 35 years than most would hope to do their entire career. And I did what Pratt wanted me to do, make my contribution. Okay, so I was kind enough, happy enough, one of my clients, there's a beautiful article from Opportunity Magazine. They come out to Connecticut and, you know, they take pictures, you know, Lee Daniels was my client, corporate communications. And he said, Cheryl, your clients want to know where you are, and I want to do a wonderful article on you. And so he came out and showed me and my baby and, you know, raising my kids in the church and, you know, leaving you all to finish this. And my son, Maurice Cherry, he picks up the mantle, 2015. And he is what we call inspired by this work. So I'm asking, you know, Dorothy has been trying to say, where are the Black designers? Here we are. I've been saying, where are the Black designers? Here we are. Okay. Maurice Cherry is inspired by all of this work, and he brands the exact words, where are the Black designers? 2015, it's Maurice Cherry's brand. Okay, we can go next. He does a presentation for XSSW Interactive, March 14, 2015. He is the specific person to take the inspiration of the need, the solution, the problem, and he voices it in, where are the Black designers? He makes a documentary presentation, and it goes viral. And the difference between Maurice's work and my work and Dorothy's work is these are all noteworthy. One is PR and awareness. One is scholarship. And if you talk to Maurice, he digs into data. So we're trying to do all these things to move the needle of advocacy to performance. So Maurice is all about data. You want data, it's Maurice Cherry. So this particular, you can find this on YouTube, 2%, 3%, 5.2, 10 out of 5. I mean, he goes into like with a, you know, like a surgeon into data, moving the needle why all of this needs to be dealt with by the majority community. And I've done scholarship, so I give you footnotes. I give you footnotes. My upcoming article, I give you footnotes. Okay. Next line. Here are some of the, and he acknowledges me in the documentary. So he begins to retell the story, the oral tradition. There's Cheryl Miller. There I am when I'm a kid trying to get to school. 1987, unpublished. 1990, AIGA. 1991. So the oral tradition is moving forward, and the credit and the footnote is being forwarded. The whole story is moving forward. You need to know your history and write your documentation, have your footnotes and your data. So these are panels off of his documentary. But this is sandwiched around, he's telling the story and he's acknowledging the oral tradition by facts and by scholarship. Next slide. Then he starts to write. So his presentation gets embedded in a 2015 article that is now on AIGA, which now your generation, okay, you guys can Google. But see, you don't know all this other stuff I told you, because a lot of our stories have not transcended. They have not transcended and crossed over the digital divide and not Googleable, because our stories are in card catalogs. So unless we all come to the table of bringing it forward so it's Googleable, the oral traditions, some of the printed documents that are in places that are collected, you know, there are archival projects that are going on now, but this is the place that if you Google, you'll begin to see the algorithms and the trending, but it's coming from where the Black designers, Maurice Cherry's documentary that gets embedded into an article 2015 supported by AIGA. So this story is moving forward a very long time, guys. Okay, you can go to the next slide. Then in 2016, my kids, I'm on the pickup line. I'm a mom. No particular website, and definitely no Google, Wikipedia. You can barely Google me, but everybody finds me all the time. All the way from 1985, you guys find me. I thank God you do, right? And they get my phone number, mostly before now. You get my phone number, you call me. Ms. Miller, can you be my thesis coach? Ms. Miller, can you tell me what to do? Ms. Miller, can I get a quote? Ms. Miller, what do you think? You know, and so the article has been in my life and has just kept giving. And so even though I'm raising my kids and the practice is closed, it's the advocacy and the trade writing continues. This is the nutrition that this part of my career and business keeps going. And so print calls me January for a quote for something they're doing for Black History Month. And I start laughing. I start laughing like I'm laughing now. I'm like, I said, you won't dig me up for a quote? The editor must have thought I was crazy. I said, you dig me up, find me. I cannot be found. You find me, you want a quote for Black history. I said, why don't I do an update? You've never had an article, 1987, that has given you this kind of click rate, shelf life, off of this thesis that these people told me I couldn't do a design project. I had to make a contribution to an industry. You call me for a quote? Well, since you have me, why don't I write you another article? And so they did the same thing all over again. Okay, Ms. Miller, here's your contract, here's your check, here's your editor. And so we wrote again. You can advance it. Black designers still missing in action? I'm like, I don't know, you tell me, are we still missing in action? You tell me, are we still missing? That's I right. And there it is. The author of a 30-year-old print article on diversity surveys the industry to see who's designing the solution to a problem that continues to this day. I'm at it again, guys. You can advance. 2016, Mr. Cherry's advocacy, his work, he gets collected. Smithsonian's African American Museum selects the first podcast, not just any podcast, the first podcast for its collection. My episode, number 248, Cheryl D. Miller, and this story of who, what, where are the Black designers, and this story is episode 248. And you can hear it online. You can hear it on my YouTube. You can hear it on Mr. Cherry's YouTube. You can hear it, and it gets collected at the Smithsonian's African American Museum. I think it's 11 of his podcasts get collected. And number 248 with Crazy Cheryl Miller, his podcast with me is, I'm now, Jesus, Crazy Cheryl Miller is now at the African. I thought I was gonna go back to DC, but I didn't know I'd be ending up in the Smithsonian. Okay, my friends. So this thing is going on. Now it's collected in Smithsonian African American Museum, and God bless my son, Maurice Cherry. Where are the Black graphic designers? Episode 248 in the Smithsonian. Next slide. And then they come around you people. Love it. I'm like, what in the world? You people, my tribe, my friends, new meaning in technology, protest as a design. And I said, you guys launching out, let me give you some history. Thank God for you. And let me tell you a little bit more. Listen, you all are making the next leg of history. This is it. You know what happened from this point. And now we're going to go together. We're going to see what happens next. But I love what you've done. And if you'll go to the next slide, I'm proud to say that I open up my final article with right this point, 2020, where are the Black designers? I'm very proud to say that print has contracted me, sent me a check and an editor. And I'm doing my last one, guys. And I submitted 1,500 words. They contracted 1,500 words. I wrote 14,000 words. It is a four-part article. It's a four-part series that will be running maybe in about 10 days. We have finished editing. There's one more pass of fact check and editing and things that we do. I'm not asking the question. The article, Black Designers Found in Action. I celebrate 50 years, not new to this, true to this. Cheryl D. Miller, watch for it. It's coming out. It's signed, sealed, and delivered, four-part series. It starts off with, I'm drinking coffee, and this 50-year work goes viral. And you want to stay reading all the way to the end, I have quite a surprise for you. I do. I'm going to tell you exactly where the designer has been, why we haven't seen it, what is the tumor of the systemic racism. I give you your answers. You don't have to ask this anymore, but you're going to have to read to the fourth entry. So they run it in 4 days because it was too much for one article. Full of pictures, full of explanation. I'm going to go off and look for my grandbabies now and lecture to you all and go back to my gallery. And as soon as I get out of pandemic, okay, go paint my pictures. Man, down island, I'm going to be painting my tropical scenes, man. You guys finished the work for me. Coming out maybe 10 days, okay? And I'm proud to, let's go one more. All of my work is collected at Stanford University. I want to shout out to Stanford, Regina Roberts, Michael Grant came looking for that thesis. You have to follow one of those interviews. How in the world did you get collected? For 5 schools, this one work, this one thesis, my entire portfolio is archived at the Cheryl Miller Collection at Stanford University. I'm very, very proud to say that all of my friends I have asked, because I have an open door, I'm an archivist to my own collection. I've asked all of my friends if they would be kind enough to contribute their research notes, their fractals. That's one thing that all of my friends have done. We save little pieces of art, Black art history news, graphic design news for a better day. And I asked them if they would donate everything to Stanford, and we have collected and curated, and it's being collected now, the history of Black graphic design at Stanford University. So there is an open source academic database that's being collected for you. And that's for you to do the scholarship, the data, and the writing, and continue to make a difference. I believe we need professors, and we need professors with scholarship. And specifically, I would like to see sophomore year professors of color, because this is the place where you begin to learn all of this, and we've got to learn more than white men. And the only way that we're going to do this, and we stop hearing, I didn't have any Black professors, I didn't see any Black professors, blah, blah, blah. You got to be a professor to get in front of the audience. And so I apologized to someone the other day. I said, I'm so sorry that I couldn't be before you. They wouldn't let me in. With all those degrees, they wouldn't let me in. Did you hear what I said? With all of those degrees, they wouldn't let me in. I won't even show you my stack of letters of places that I have tried to teach you. That doesn't mean I don't teach you. That means they won't let me teach you. Me, I let me teach you. I should be retiring as a dean. I should be retiring as a chair of somebody's design program. I taught graphic design at FIT when I was running this studio. So I apologize for their sins of not allowing me to be in front of you. How am I not going to be Professor Miller? I do want to shout out, I got some housekeeping, and so let's go to the next slide. And then the next slide. You can write me and we can talk about it. And now I've asked Mitzi if I can practice my technology. I'm going to share my commercial, and then when I'm going to take Q&A, I'll be here. I always hang around for everything. Everybody, we're going to get your questions together. We're going to come back, okay? And I'm going to share my screen. Miller is practicing her technology, okay? All right. And so I'm going to give you my thank you slide and share. Let me practice. Did I do it? Can you see it? Okay, I'm learning how to do Zoom. I'm gonna keep up with you people, okay? Thank you so much. Let's keep going. I'm here until I see Jesus. So listen, and I tell you all the time, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do anything. Two cups, 2 cups of espresso. I'm faster and smarter than all of you all. Just when we get back to reality and I'm on the bus or plane, you just got to wait for me. I got a left knee that's a little, okay. So thank you. God bless you. Wait. Okay. I should be able to move this forward. Oh, listen, this is how you can support. Okay, these are my commercials. Listen, I got my print on demand. Okay, I got my Sankofa shirt. Okay, and Sankofa means return. You people need to return, go back to your aesthetics, take it and prosper. Black designers found in action. I am not asking that question anymore, and especially after you read my article. So you can go get my t-shirt. Oh, look, I got a cup. You can give me $10, can't you? To keep me going. Do you look? I got 50 years and no go watch people buy a cup of t-shirt. All right, let's go. So print on demand, all my artwork. Go buy something, a print t-shirt. Come on. All right, then let's see what's next. No, coming up, 4-part series, not new to this, true to this, Black designers found in action. I just told you, I've been around this rodeo. If I had had Google when Papa asked me for what my plan was, I would have found Dorothy, I would have found all these things, and I probably still would be here with you now, okay? Listen, I put this up to respond to after everybody who's gonna like, oh my God, this article, I got a history of Black design Slack. Come over there and just, I talk to everybody who want to talk to me, is over there. I'm with Mitzi. Anybody who wants to help me be an administrator with that, come over there and say, hey, Miller, I'm going to help you. Because, I say yes to everybody. The answer is yes. I figure a way. Yes. Mitzi said, can you do? I said, yes, let me figure a way. I'll do it for you. Because I don't want anybody to go through what I've gone through. It's not fair. Shout out. Shout out. Thank you, Professor Kelsey Gray. I am designer in residence at starting next week for my premier lectures, a portfolio review, speed date with me. I'm there all fall, online through Zoom, designer in residence, fall 2020, University Austin Design School. Shout out, I can't wait to come to Texas. And listen, I can't wait for Texas via Zoom, okay? So, and then when this is all over, I'll come down. So I'm designer in residence, that's what's next. If you want my lectures, I've got a premiere lecture that goes with I'm featuring it at Austin Design Week. It marries, I'm not giving this one until really after the article appears, because people are gonna like, oh my God, I don't believe this article. And so I've got a lecture that's built around the article. If you are a faculty member, I want to shout out to my ally, Christina from Leslie Design. You can test run, I'm doing the Miller's Black Grid and Typographic Design System, my visual DNA. If you are a faculty member, you can preview that lecture. Write me and I'll introduce you to Christina at Leslie Design and University. And I'm doing that lecture 8 o'clock. And so you can see that premiere lecture. You can look at it and see if you like it, and we'll bring it to you, okay? So we've got a series of lectures, and just write me. These handouts, you can get them all online, but if you want them in a bundle, or you want something from me, just, write me. I love you. Stop sharing. I'll take some questions. I'm here till I'm not.
Well, first I want to say thank you for giving us this amazing lecture. I was like smiling and so excited the entire time because this was so, I don't even know if there's like a word to express how amazing hearing all of that history was, and just the, not like relief, but the, I don't know, I'm like at a loss of words right now because it was just like so amazing to finally get history where it's like I can actually see myself, if that makes sense. So I really, really appreciate you taking the time to give this amazing lecture. And for those who either came in you know, late or just dipped out for like a second, we have recorded this, if it's okay with you, Cheryl.
Of course.
And then we are going to put this on YouTube for everyone to see so they can share out. And it's going to be on our YouTube channel, We're the Black Designers. The entire, we're going to try and record the entire back to school fall series. So there's an education channel in our YouTube channel. So
can you get a transcript of the chat? I'd love to see what everybody's saying. And
yeah, I think I can. It says file, so I'll try to download it, and then I'll send it to you. Everybody loves you, so this was.
Oh, I love everybody. How you not gonna love me? I love you first.
That's amazing.
And you make excuse not to love me if I'm loving you first, and I'm loving you first because I'm older. I've been here first, loving you first. Okay. So let's take some questions. Anything, anybody.
Yeah, I'm gonna pass it to Ritesh. I'm going to pass it to Ritesh, and he's going to moderate all the questions.
Okay, and I'm going to go to gallery view so I can see everybody.
Yes, do that. And for those who are comfortable, please turn on your video so we can see your faces.
Also, I do want to take a picture, like a screenshot of everybody with Cheryl. So if you can turn on your videos. I know it's either early, you just woke up, but we want to show people that we came out and we heard Cheryl and like this was amazing. So after the questions, we're going to take a nice little screenshot and put on our social media accounts.
Okay, perfect. I have thoroughly enjoyed being with you. You all have no idea. And wait till we do somebody's conference somewhere. Okay. Man, I just take you down island to the islands and we have a conference there. Oh my God. Man, I just show you St. Thomas and all around and just show you where your people just come from. Okay.
That's awesome. So I encourage everyone who's has a question to drop it in the chat and we'll try to get to a few of them. Cheryl, thanks so much. This is incredible. One question I have is, given where we are today, let's say there's a 16-year-old or a 21-year-old Black student or kid who has never heard of graphic design and doesn't know about it as a career option. What would you say to them and their parents to convince them that it's a worthwhile pursuit? Okay,
well, one of the things there, and I celebrate in the article, and I have about 5 or 6 resources of high school prep programs, and putting, first off, the parents, that's the biggest problem. And that's the biggest problem is parental support. Okay, they are discouraged from anything that is art, even as extracurricular, just art. Everyone would rather spend piano lessons, ballet lessons, and definitely everybody's trying to kill their kid doing D1 sports, okay, to get to college with a scholarship. We're going to basketball, we're going to swimming, not even swimming, we're going to basketball, we're going to football, we're going to soccer, you're going to D1, that's how you're going to college. I don't want to hear anything else about anything else. Okay, and so it starts with the parental support that is still tough. It's still tough. Even just in extracurricular activities when you're growing up, okay? The best you get is, paint bar birthday parties. Okay. And how many paint bar birthday parties can you get invited to as a kid, okay? So unless a parent gets involved with exposing, or a teacher in school kind of tips the parent off, at parent-teacher meeting or something like that, it's going to be difficult because you have to expose the parent first. Given that, and I observe talent, okay, and teachers can have the responsibility of telling a kid, your kid has potential. Why don't you do, something to expose them, and then the kid will decide. That's the parental responsibility of reviewing extracurricular activities. And a lot of this requires extra money or school programming, extracurricular activities after school. And so it is top heavy training kids to be Serena all the way from 3 years old, because everybody is looking at, this is how we can go to, you're going to basketball practice, you hear me? And you're only 2 feet high. And you're going because you're going to get a D1 scholarship. It's really hard to compete with that. But there are programs, and it takes a lot for the parents to become exposed in order to put a full sampling before. That is one of the major problems, is the parental lack of exposure and willingness. But with that said, there are some beautiful programs that are there. I feature in the article with links. You know, I want to shout out, you got Jacinda Walker, you got Maurice Woods, you got Vernon Lockhart, different parts of the country with their, there's one I just found, the Black School down in New Orleans. There's a beautiful program in Boston. I celebrate 5 high school college prep programs that could be extracurricular, but the parents have to be pitched and so forth. So, you know, unless a parent gets involved early, and a teacher or a nursery worker or something, like my 2 nephews are, my niece and my nephew, my brother's kids are extreme. I think it's in the genes. They're extremely talented. Okay. And I just keep suggesting to my brother, you know, take them down to the DC rec programs, just keep it in front of them in some kind of way. And then they will decide to pick up the mantle. Like it or not, if I'd had Google, I'd still be here. I would have seen Dorothy and all of this drama. I'm like, I want to paint. I want to be a designer. You know, I'm knocking off Picasso. I'm 10 years old. Here we are. Next question.
All right. So Working Not Working recently published an article of the top agencies that creatives claim they want to work at. Now, the sample size was probably mostly white, and the most of the agencies and companies, whatnot, that were shouted out were mostly white-led. What are some of your favorite companies or agencies, et cetera, that you think some of our attendees should want to work for or work with?
Yours.
Come on now.
I'm serious. Yours.
Sounds good. Next question.
Let me come back.
Okay, you got it.
Yours meaning, look, I got to give you a lecture on how I broke into New York. Okay, but not in this hour. And what I learned is I had to compete, and not for jobs. I had to compete for business. So I learned how to be a businesswoman. Okay, and I ran a firm. I did not run a freelance project. I had New York City rent, taxes, lawyers, accountants, payroll taxes, payroll, computer leases. Because when that crew at AIGA wouldn't let me in, I said, you know what, guys? I love y'all, but I got the same education from the same people, and I'm just as crazy as you all in New York City. When you all wouldn't write about me, and you wouldn't acknowledge me, I wrote about you. So the answer to your question is your firm, and learn business.
I love it. Now let's talk about where are the Black type designers for a second.
Yeah.
Bobby C. Martin has posed that question. He runs a shop called Champions Design. I'm sure you're familiar. And he posed that question. Unfortunately, it seems like that lecture is not publicly available. However, I'm really curious from your perspective, when you're creating a brand, or some of the folks in the audience are creating a brand, how cognizant should they be that the typefaces that are chosen are by Black individuals, or they're choosing typography from shops that are Black run? And like, do you feel that, so there's like a list like of a document, I'll put it in the chat, of like 30 or so Black type designers, and they're incredible. And do you think that a lot of particularly Black folks, graphic designers, should be utilizing those typefaces, or do you think it's interesting to kind of reappropriate most of the typefaces, which is done by Euro white men?
Aren't you tired of using Helvetica?
I am.
Okay, aren't you tired of putting it in Catholic school? Wait a minute, Catholic school blue, United Healthcare blue, Blue Cross Blue Shield blue. Ain't you tired of that?
100%.
There you go. There's your answer.
Boom. All right, here, I'll post the document for everybody.
I know you didn't ask me to come here and serve you all sugar-coated stuff, did you? Did you? Listen.
Nope.
No. Make your own typeface. Make your own typeface. You should see my typefaces. Make your own typefaces, load them up, sell them, buy them to each other. Create your own Adobe. I mean, come on, guys. What this is about is stop wanting stuff from them. Like I said, they wouldn't write about me. I'm writing about them. Come on, you gotta get this. You gotta get this. They won't hire you. Here's the secret to winning awards. Oh, wait a minute. This is my favorite one-liner, zinger. I know y'all love this collaboration stuff. Oh, I'm gonna collaborate. I'm gonna do this, that, that. Can I tell you something? Ain't no collaboration check. That check got one name on it when an invoice gets processed. Cheryl D. Miller Design. Now I can collaborate with you all you want. And you can hashtag my name all you want. That check's coming to me. And unless that check's coming to you, you're working for somebody. And everybody want to be a partner. I told one of these, Melissa, I met her the other, wow, what a businesswoman. What a businesswoman. Black Ignite, I said, listen here. Everybody wants to be your partner. I said, no, you don't need a partner. A partner is one of two things. Either can bring you clients with money or money. After that, you buy everything else. You got another question for me? Oh, I was going to tell you how to win awards. Don't hang out with losers.
That was my next question.
Don't hang out with losers.
That was my next question.
Okay, and then when you have the money, you are in charge of the project. So what do you do? What do you do? Come on. What do you do with that? Back into it, guys. I had projects, I had money. I had money from my clients. It's my project. I'm gonna say where we're gonna print it. I'm gonna say who's gonna help me set type. I'm gonna say who gives me an illustration. I'm gonna be the one who says, when it's my project and I call the collaboration and the check comes in my name, who's in charge of this? So what I would do back in the day is, okay, which one of these printers is winning awards? And the only color when you walk in with a checkbook and a project, there's only one color. Green, PMS, whatever that is, green. Gupta, are you with me? You're loving it. Because I'm teaching you how to compete. And that's why they get rid of you off of these jobs, because they're like, if you got into that client base, if the client loves you, next thing you know, you got a business and you don't put the white studio out. Don't make me go there today. This is not that lecture. So if I walk in with a printer and listen, let me tell you something about printers when you walk in with a job. Don't you go, when you go to the doctor, come on now, walk with me. When you go to the doctor, or you go to the dentist, or you go to the eye doctor, you sit down in the waiting room, or you get, the first thing you do is, don't you look at the degrees on the wall? Oh Lord, where did they go to, where they went to community college residency, they're gonna pull my teeth? I don't think so. Gunther, you loving it. You know, you go to the eye doctor and the dentist, and you look, what's the first thing your eyes do? Where? Cornell, New York, okay. Not Brand X Community College for your surgery internship residency. You're like, oh no, you're not cutting on me. That's not what we're doing. Isn't that right, Mr. Salim? You know, way. So I walk into a printer. You walk through the doors of a printer, of a print shop. Oh, they have their awards up. PIA, art directors, this, that, and the other. Before you even show me a sample, I'm looking on your walls. And printers are impressed with their art director awards, PIA awards. So and they pay They pay to put your work. So first off, you don't hang out with losers. And when you got the project, you don't go to a printer that's losing. Then you don't, no, I'm going to canvas, okay, who's the printer that I walk in and I see all of the fancy embossed awards and gloss this and gloss that and so forth and so on. And, you know, I know they're going to put my work in the shows. I know they're going to put my work in an annual. And if I'm an award winner, they know that I'm going to help them win awards and thus make more money. So it starts with when you're in charge, you hang out with winners. So I don't care who my team is. If you're a winner, it's my black name on top of it with my green money. And then we all win. Come on, compete, compete, compete. Don't just try to earn a job. Next question. You know I love you.
I love this so much. I'm so glad. This is amazing.
Mr. Gupta, I love you. Let's keep
I want to hang out with winners. I want to hang out with you. So we have a great question from, I believe, Christian in the chat. How do you keep motivated when you can't find any role model that looks like you in your country?
Look in the mirror. Who do you think I had to look at? I look in the mirror. And I'm true to what I hear and see. And even to this day, I got Google. I know more about all y'all people around the world than you know about who's next door. I study design and art all day long. I have my Pinterest board. Go see my Pinterest board. Bishop C.D. Miller, Pinterest. I collect everything. Fractals, you know, I'm into Africa. I'm into the Impressionists. I study all day long. This is no different than music. Don't you listen? You like jazz? You listen to jazz all day long. You want to be a writer? What do they tell you? Read all day long. You want to dance? Plie all day long. You want to do this? I am on Pinterest, Google, LinkedIn. There's a guy on LinkedIn, I can't call his name. He gives a lesson every day in a post. I am in self-directed sabbatical all the time studying visual arts. That's my job. So the answer is, nobody next door, so what? You got Google. That's better than what I had. You know what I had? Let me tell you what I had. I had my daddy's World Book Encyclopedia. And when I was a kid and wanted to win that award, I took out 2 books, A for artists, P for painting. And what did I find in P? 10 years old, I want to win an award. No Google. I can't even walk to the library by myself. I go to the World Book, book A, book P. A for artists, P for painting. Who do you think I found? Picasso in book P, and here we are. Self-instructed sabbatical on Google. Next question. No, I love you.
We all love
you got to do the work, guys. Got to do the work.
Now we have time for one more question.
Okay.
And it's going to be difficult to choose just one. I do want to encourage everyone, if they do have additional questions, I believe Cheryl has invited everyone to reach out to her via LinkedIn or Instagram direct messages. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's better than, because I can, write me if you want to lecture. You want to talk? Catch me on LinkedIn and catch me on Instagram. I'm responsive. I'm extremely responsive. And why? I'm doing the best that I can do to be responsive, because I didn't have anybody, and you should not go through anything that I've been through personally. You shouldn't. So I'm going to do what I can. And even if I just say, hey, hey, what's up? I usually stop for everybody. I'm actually thinking that I will try to block out a particular date for, Friday afternoons is, speed date with Miller. And you just come in, you get 5 seconds, show me, talk to me, love you. Next question.
That sounds amazing. I mean, I would love to end it right there with that.
I think that's a perfect way to end it.
You sure? Like encore, I'll take one more.
We're going to do one more question.
Well, just one more, and make it a good one.
Oh my goodness.
How about this one, Mr. Gupta?
There
Mr.
is so
Gupta.
many questions.
Wait a minute, Mr. Gupta.
All at once.
Mr. Gupta, wait a minute. Look at those questions, because you've been faithful. Look at those questions. Which one do you want the answer to?
You better choose wisely, Ritesh.
I'm gonna open up a can of worms here. So we talked a lot about where are the Black designers, right? Can we talk a little bit about how are the Black designers for a second, and what advice you have for mental and physical health?
Yeah. It's okay to be alone. It's really okay to be alone. And it's okay not to be liked on your job. You are not there for social hour. It is okay to be alone. It's the best thing, because left alone, you'll get some stuff done. And usually that isolation, use it to your advantage. And my motto is, you don't want to be with me? Okay, guess what? I don't want to be with you. So y'all got to protect yourselves. And a lot of this will keep you away from be physician, heal thyself. Now, some cases are real, and you should take care of yourself. But a lot of it is your own constitution. Rest. Move away from drama. And when you start thinking about the business side of this, I have no friends that I can't name 5 artists I've ever sat down to a dinner with. So not having artist buddies is quite okay. So the ones that I call out, they're my colleagues. They haven't been to my home. I never dated any of them. Nothing intimate, business. And when you begin to see that, and I spent all of my social time cross-referenced with my husband's business friends, because I'm in a business-to-business service. And then, and then I'm a church girl. So you have to find community. You have to find other things. Okay, your life is not all this enchantment that will bring you disappointment. And the isolation, good, get something done. Get something done in the isolation. This is great time. And guess what? If they don't like you, don't like them back. I ain't got no time for you. You don't want me. I keep knocking on your door. I'm like, really? Come on. Getting abused by people who are jealous of you? Come on. People are jealous of you. Wait till part 4 of my article, and you're going to have one big aha moment. Because you're the game in town. You're the beast. We are from Compton and an upset tennis. We are. And you're gonna realize that. And that's what makes everybody so nervous. Enjoy yourself. Compete. Have latte your way. Buy your BMW and your picket fence. Go on, come on, come on, come on. If I could do this when I was a kid, with my birth certificate, see that right there over my shoulder? With my birth certificate, calling my mother Negro. And she's Filipino. In the middle of 1965, 1967, 1968, and all this history, who do you think wanted me at the party? I learned to love me. I learned to see the gift of God and realize that what I do with the gift is my gift back to God. I am not a bitter woman. There are times I've not been happy, but it's my joy. That's why I can make you smile. And that's why my jokes, many a truth is said in a joke. I want you guys to soar. You should be able to maximize and do more than I ever could have imagined. This is your time. And this is the season of reparation. You guys, metaphorically, better get your baskets and start running through these fields and get any and everything you can. Because I wouldn't be here if there wasn't 50 years ago a season of reparation. The doors were shut tight until this season of reparation. So everything they're given, take it. Prosper, maximize, multiply, and have your latte your way, get your BMW and your picket fence and go on and be happy. So with all of that, it will be well with your mind and body and soul. Some things are real, take care of yourself. Other things, get on your knees and say, Jesus, help me. Buddha or otherwise, come on. Cope with hope. And that's what Cheryl Miller does. Or I would have been out of this long time ago. And now I'm hoping for you. You got that?
Chills. Woo.
I love you guys. And I want it to be clear. I want you to look at me real good. I got Ghanaian DNA. And I don't care what the body looks like. I'm a BIPOC. And I know exactly where and how I am Black. And I was raised in Chocolate City. I don't know what it is now, but back in the day, I can hand dance. So don't come up on me. I am the sister. Okay? Okay. I'll see. Okay? Freddie, are you with me, bro from DC? Yo. You know what? When I see you, we're going to show these people how to hand dance. They think Chicago and Atlanta can hand dance. They seen nothing till they see some Black Filipino hand dance in DC back in the parking lot of Howard. They haven't seen a thing. They don't have. I love you. Root for me for a TED Talk. You think I'm crazy on Zoom? Imagine me at the conference. Party over here. Give yourself,
All right.
Give yourself a hand. God bless you. Stay safe, wear your mask.
Wait, before you leave, Cheryl, let's take a screenshot so we can post it on our socials, telling everybody that if they weren't in person, then they missed out, but they can go on YouTube. So we're gonna take 2 screenshots with you in the center and then another one where everybody is.
I love everybody. Okay, and I have had, my studio had folks from all around. Okay, if you did artwork and you could compete with me, you were with Cheryl Miller Design. And that's what I want you guys to do. Excellence first. And you'll be surprised the doors that open. Okay? Just be known as a good designer. That's one thing you can't take away from Cheryl Miller. She can be a whole lot of things, but you're not messing with her. Listen, first things first. First things first. So everybody look in the camera and smile for me.
Yep, ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay, we're gonna do one more. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Perfect.
Excellence, guys, excellence. That's the only thing, that's the best way to compete. And love your neighbor, okay? God bless you, God keep you. And don't be afraid of the new, decolonize, decentralize. Do all of it.